In the UK, a kid got arrested for saying he liked bacon because that might incite, like, it basically might offend someone.
We want bacon! To be honest, you're talking to all your I like bacon. For saying he likes bacon.
How can you arrest him for saying he likes bacon?
And what's that? You're not allowed to say you like bacon, but he's around here. Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so it's anything that might be perceived to be racially abused.
Ask Google how many people have been arrested in the UK for online whatever. Some things. I mean, you have laws, right? But the vast majority of them are just maybe offensive to someone. Not inciting violence, which we have laws against, right? It's so ridiculous. These leftist policies are just going to make us so broke, steal our culture. The Canadian voter especially needs to wake up. I don't want everyone to have to feel the pain before everybody wakes up, That's sort of what wakes people up, You don't question anything when life is good. You kind of stop and take stock of things a little more when things aren't going your way. Or if, in my case, you were denied the ability to earn an income for the business for 23 months, and then from my prior career, because I didn't have enough of those, I couldn't get hired, even in spring of 2023. A job that I had 15 years experience in. So, you still have to look around and ask some questions, but I think some people are more predetermined to just generally, a healthy level of skepticism, skeptical of authority, and certainly centralization of power. Another reason why I love Bitcoin so much, blockchain technology is something that we could use more than just in a financial system. True ownership, it's very powerful socially as well, in many ways. If your culture is so different than the culture of the place that you're going to, that you can't do the things that your culture allows or that you consider normal, then you shouldn't be coming to this country. Like, I would never go to another country and expect to impose my will on that country. I think it's absurd. These leftist ideologies, these globalists, look at the UK right now. What the hell is going on? I mean, people have been talking about this, but not mainstream media. They say it's racist. It's the same thing we have in Canada. Look at some of the numbers that you're seeing. And if you don't know, I'll put some numbers up here.
Work permits are being issued in Canada, 3.1 million permits in 2024. So this comes from this website.
Check out the website. I mean, it's immigrationcanada.ca. Clearly, there's a right amount of immigrants to bring in. You need to vet people. You don't bring immigrants in when unemployment's at the highest it's been in a decade or two. You don't bring in that many people. You bring them in as needed. That's the idea, right? You certainly don't bring in 3 million people if you have to house them in hotels forever. In the UK, they're offering contracts, something like, one guy refused, it was £3 million for 7 years, or maybe it's 3 years, I can't remember, but, they're making these multi-year deals from, I've heard different numbers. But, you can look that up. Sorry, I don't know the exact amount, but if you have the proper infrastructure, you don't need to house people in hotels for years. Right? And obviously they're going to be rotating people through that hotel, but the fact that they think that this is going to be an issue for this long, I mean, it's just there's clearly an amount of people there where too much is too much. Are you going to allow people into your house without knowing who they are? You gonna let them near your family without knowing who you are? Are you gonna allow 40 or 50 or 100 people into your home? Like at some point, even if you're helping your neighbors, let's say, in some sort of maybe, I don't know, if 5 houses burnt down and you got 5 left, and the 4, other houses, there's no one home, so you're the only house there. Are you supposed to take in every single person from the other 5 homes that burned down? Like, what if you can only take 1 family in, or 2, or whatever it is? Does that make you racist, or do you have some ill will towards other people? I mean, it's so ridiculous. Every single conversation starts out this way, where there's pushback and then you're called whatever, whether it's with the LGBTQ stuff and then, transitioning children, you're called a transphobe, you're somehow a bigot. If you think there's too much immigration, you're called racist. If you think the Muslim culture on the radical side of it, not like there's plenty of good Muslims that don't preach these radical points of the Quran or misinterpret them of other teachings, and the Prophet Muhammad and all this crap. There's plenty of Muslims that don't, they'll come and it's different, but there's the ones that just want to impose their will upon everyone, and that's not cool. To say that is Islamophobic. No. To say that there's too many immigrants when there's 3 million people coming in one year and 200,000 houses being built, when there was already a housing crisis, a cost of living crisis. I mean, by what metric do any of these leftist policies in any of these countries make a country better off? Look at Germany and their energy policies, which is what Carney's trying to bring here. They've lost 200,000 manufacturing facilities. 200,000 facilities, not jobs, facilities. Germany made everything, the Audi, the washing machines, German engineering. Like, you're not going to be able to get that anymore. Newsflash, they closed down all their nuclear plants, all their coal plants, starting I think in 2013. Energy prices are so high that even with billions in subsidies, companies are saying, no, we're going to go to another country to do business. And that's what's going to happen in Canada. So all of these topics, whether it's to do with Islam, to do with immigration, to do with climate, as soon as you disagree or ask questions, you're just instantly put in this category by essentially what is just propaganda, and people that have believed that propaganda can't ask normal questions. I don't see how this isn't really that difficult, a concept. People really need to smarten up.